Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, the number one source for news, analysis, and discussion on the Detroit Red Wings, the NHL, and all things hockey. Here are your hosts, Ryan Hanna, Brad Crisco, and Evan Lopsinger.
Brad's missing out, man.
I knew something was off. The Christmas tree's closer.
You just realized that now?
It's inching its way towards me, just like Christmas Day itself.
That's right. Brad's not here. And so I was like, well, his seat's gone. I'm moving this tree over. This is our last episode with the tree in the shot until next year.
Wow.
Yeah. Because after this episode...
I don't know if we could take the tree down. And that's coming from me.
Why? You like the vibes?
The bigger tree this year, the Red Wings are playing better. I'm not superstitious, but I'm not sure the tree can come down until at least January 1st.
Just like you slowly broke me with golf, I'm slowly breaking you with Christmas.
I don't know. If the Red Wings are on their usual December stuff, the tree could go down tomorrow for all I care. But right now, I don't know if we can take it down. Brad's going to have to sit over there. We're not moving the tree further away.
That's better for me, for you, the listeners and viewers, the tree, the Red Wings.
They'll just hear Brad. They won't see Brad.
It can't be wins all around.
Yeah.
For the most part. But, oh, man, wins all around for the Red Wings. What an electric finish. Whenever we say, okay, we're going to record right post-game, that is just a formula for someone on the Red Wings who's going to do something absolutely nutty in the best way. But Mo Seider, man, I want new awards. Forget the Norris, forget the Hart. Make up brand new awards for Mo Seider.
Yeah, the guy who is defensively defensive plus has some offensive ability as well. That's the award he should win. Maybe even the Norris. Who knows?
21 points in his last 21 games. Like if anyone who just hasn't watched the Red Wings and only looked at the stupid player cards, like thought about Mo Seider for a second, like even those 21 points in 21 games is enough for them. And then he hits the "Are you listening?" or "I can't hear you" Selly, which is cold as hell in and of itself, but especially funny considering Austin Matthews did that to his own crowd ironically.
Yes.
Was it earlier this week or last week?
Everything's all fine and dandy in Leafland.
Thank you, Mo Seider, for guaranteeing this to be a good Detroit sports day, no matter what happens in the Lions game, which is happening right now. All right, folks, welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. No Brad today. Santa needed some more help as Christmas Day approaches, so he's up at the workshop. So Evan and I are with you for this last episode before our Christmas break. So we are just taking one episode off, and we're going to be back with you on the 28th. And that episode's going to feature Max Weltman. But welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast, here to talk to you about all things Detroit Red Wings hockey, the world of the NHL, and lots more. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Hanna.
And I'm Evan.
All right, on this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we're going to be talking about Detroit's back-to-back wins against the Washington Capitals, takeaways from both games, huge performances in and of themselves, but very different storylines. So we're going to be getting into all of that, where Detroit stands right now in the Atlantic as we head into our own Winged Wheel Podcast, Christmas holiday break, Mo Seider's ascendance into not just, one of the best players on the team, but one of the best players in the league, and recognition, and just how high up that voting he might get into for the Norris Trophy. More storylines from the Red Wings, some stuff on the Griffins, NHL news, and more before we head into overtime. Very quickly, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, you get access to benefits like our bonus overtime episodes, which we record right after these main ones. We let loose, we have fun. It's a really good time. You get thoughts with Evan, you get bloopers, outtakes. It's a fun way to get some more Winged Wheel Podcast content if that's something you're into. You allow us to do everything we do on the show. You also get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord, and you're automatically entered into all of our giveaways. For example, we give away 2 tickets to every Detroit Red Wings home game directly to our Patreon supporters. So again, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. Home and home against the Washington Capitals, one of the best teams in the East. On the road to start, both matinee games.
Should be a recipe for a disaster.
And not only was that not the case, but starting with that first game here, the Red Wings had one of their best first period or 2 periods on the road all season. Like, they came away from the first period only up 1-0, but they outshot Washington 17-6. And that was after like a few Washington shots right at the end of the period. They outshot them 41-26 over the whole game, and they won that game 5-2. That was big. Like, that was a really strong performance. Not perfect, but that was a very strong performance by the Red Wings.
Yeah, I think it was 9 minutes or 10 minutes left in the second period. Washington had their 10th shot, which was a goal, but holding an offensive team like that to 10 shots while you're on the road being matched up against, not having, the favorable matchups, that's exactly what you want to do. And I know we're going to get into specifics, but that may have been the best Seider Edvinsson defensive, just smothering game we've seen.
Did you see the stat card for that game? Like, their bars were like off the charts to the right.
No, I didn't see it, but I believe it. They were just all over Washington all night, making their lives miserable. It was a fantastic road game. Obviously, when you win 5-2, you can say those sorts of things. But the Red Wings were allowed to play their game or force their game upon Washington, and Washington really didn't have any answers. Like, tip of the cap to Todd McLellan and team to get those 2 points.
I think the Red Wings are going to have to look into some added travel budget, though, because they got to bring the moms to every game.
Oh, yeah.
For the rest of the season.
100%.
What a lot was made about the mom's trip, and the boys are really excited to put on a good show. Their moms are there. That's a really important thing. I think it's a really cool thing that the Red Wings do. Call your mothers if you're lucky enough to be able to do so, by the way. And I think you could see the effect on the ice. Like, the boys were excited to play in front of their moms. So
yeah, it was awesome. And so nice that you get all the Swedish moms together, they get to mix and mingle, and it's just a really nice couple days, nice weekend. I'm sure the players enjoy it. I'm sure the moms are just absolutely over the moon. They get to take the team plane with the boys as well. That's probably the best behaved the team plane is all year. I'm sure it's not behaved when the dad's trip happens too. So yeah, no, it's great. And to be able to do it right before the holidays is even better.
So the scoring actually opened with John Leonard, who gets his first as a Red Wing, goes hard to the net, bangs home the loose puck. Good, solid play. The Red Wings have liked what they've seen from John Leonard, and he played in both games. So Patrick Kane continued to be out of the lineup, but Leonard from Edvinsson and Copp, and Detroit takes a 1-0 lead. And then JVR in front, banging in
his office,
doing what the Red Wings need him to do. And then don't discredit Mo Seider's intentionality behind that slap pass using the end boards. Like, that was, those who grew up with it saw Nick Lidstrom make a career out of that, using the end boards to rebound the puck in front, but just a good, smart play by Seider that was his lane.
That's where the millennials and older just instantly travel back to the Joe.
Yeah.
With the concrete boards where Lidstrom would just bank the puck off it, go right out front. It definitely gave me some nostalgia when I saw that goal.
It was so fun as a Red Wings fan to watch that, but I'll tell you, as a defenseman growing up, if you played in an arena with that, it drove you insane.
Oh yeah, because it comes back out like a rocket. Like, it's great on the offensive side, but oh my gosh, on the defensive side, the puck can go anywhere. And when it comes out that fast, you have so much less time to box out and match up with guys. The Red Wings took advantage, so that's great.
Elmer Soderblom also in front, used his body, used his size, scored in front of Mom from Kasper and Johansson. Nice to see Kasper get another assist. I thought that was one of his best games all year almost.
100%. You can start to see some deliberateness to his game, some tenacity coming back. I think Elmer Soderblom as well has kind of really turned the page a little bit. He's playing with more sense of purpose, and his hands are just as soft as they've ever been, but he's using his body a little bit better. Like, those are the guys that the Red Wings need to keep going and get going to if they want to keep up in the Atlantic.
And then the fourth goal for Detroit. Who else other than noted sharpshooter on Logan Thompson, one of the best goalies in the NHL this season, should be Team Canada's starter for the Olympics. Goes down the right side on a break and just snipes one. Sharpshooter. Noted sharpshooter.
Yeah, the drag and release shot from Seider looked like Alex DeBrincat going down on a 2-on-1. We're gonna do the whole Moritz Seider thing, so I'll save the whole spiel for that, but did not expect that. And we're gonna get to the next game, and I didn't expect that either.
Washington did make a game of it. Protas and Fervari got on the board, and they appeared to have a third goal from Chychrun, but you watched you watch the replay because it was immediately waved off for goaltender interference. And it was Sherratt and Protas were going at the net. And, you can make the case that Sherratt pushed him into Gibson and Gibson pushed him out of the crease. And so there might have been a case there for Washington until the very last moment where Protas grabbed the scruff of Gibson's jersey and pulled him down.
Yeah, you can't do that.
You just can't do that. And especially when the call on the ice is no goal.
Yeah.
They're not going to, and that is the last thing that happened before the goal to the goalie. They were never going to overturn that. And Washington challenged it. And they obviously lost. Detroit went to the power play. But I was like, that was a stupid challenge.
I guess they figured they may as well challenge because
Down
they're down 2. If they give up another one, the game's over. If they don't challenge, the game might be over. Either way, the rules are gray on the best of days.
Yeah.
So I can guess I understand it, but that one felt pretty black and white to me.
It was kind of funny, honestly. Just like all right, kid, and just pulls him down.
Yeah.
So Detroit ends up winning it 5-2. Larkin scored a Filip Hronek-style cruise missile from his own zone for the empty netter to seal it, made it 5-2, and that was the end of the game for the Red Wings. Detroit gets away with a huge win against one of the best teams in the East. Copp with a good 2 assists there. Edvinsson with a good 2 assists there. Gibson wins his 7th straight game. Somewhere out there, there's a Red Wings fan who the last piece of Red Wings content they consumed was our season preview episode of the Winged Wheel podcast, and they just haven't, let's say they're a bigger Lions fan than anything else. And this is their first episode they've listened to since then. And they remembered my stupid, when you did that thing, okay, think of the hottest take you can have.
Yes.
And I predicted, was it Gibson above a 920 or something?
Wow, that was predicted. I can't believe it.
They're like, oh man, Ryan was really smart for saying that. Somewhere out there, someone doesn't know everything that happened between it, and they accidentally think I'm kind of smart.
It was nice of Cam Talbot to give his amount of skill for this month to John Gibson. Seems like they kind of just, one goes one way, one goes the other. So it's the season of giving. I can appreciate that from Cam Talbot.
That's very nice of them. I appreciate the charity. I do hope second goalie's skill tree is gifted to the Red Wings goaltenders. Although, we'll jump ahead. Cam Talbot did have a great recovery game. Yeah. But that was big from Detroit, and that made it 7-2-1 in their last 10 and for the month. And, you're coming away from that saying, okay, it doesn't not matter what happens at home now, but you feel like you stole 2 on the road. And 24 hours later, you're playing the same team in your own barn this time after you thumped them. You came out hot, you embarrassed them in their own barn, you really dominated that game by and large, and you knew Washington was going to come back with a good effort. And to jump into the next game now, they did. They started off...
Felt like the inverse of the day before, where the road team at that time was the Red Wings, who just dominated from the get-go. I felt like Washington, now on the road, was doing the exact same thing to Detroit.
Yeah, so in the first game, Detroit outshot them 17-6 in the first, and we were up 1-0. In the second game, Washington outshot them 14-5 in the first, and we're up 1-0. And it could have been more than one if not for Cam Talbot.
Yeah, it was a little alarming how you saw such a great start on the road when it's much more difficult to get going. And then you get home, you're comfortable, you're sleeping in your own bed, and that's the first period you have. It was a little concerning.
Even Mo said in his post-game interview, it was a bit of a sleepy start, but the boys found a way to get it going. And they did. I thought Cam Talbot made key saves when he needed to make sure they weren't put out of the game early. And Washington didn't capitalize. And by the time the next goal happened, which was in the second period, it was Lucas Raymond on the power play, his 11th goal of the season. And he's had quite a few points recently, but that was his first goal in 9 games. And that was massive. Very important for him to get on the scoreboard.
Yeah, Washington took a really bad penalty at a bad time, and Red Wings kind of just took momentum of the game from there on out. The Red Wings have a strong power play. Washington needed to be a little bit more disciplined in that moment when they're on the road, and the Red Wings just didn't look back from that time.
Very importantly, Axel Sandin-Pellikka and Finnie assisting on Raymond's goal. And you read out a stat. I don't know the exact details or how accurate it is, but it's something like they're 12-0-1.
When ASP records a point. That's usually good.
Not a bad sign, for sure. not a bad sign. And you can do some correlation causation arguments in there, but when it's such a positive episode, we're not going to get into all that. It's ASP is driving a lot of these wins. That's what we're going to go into. So that was Detroit tying the game, and then John Leonard scores in consecutive games. That's his third point in 4 games for Detroit from DeBrincat and Copp, and it was DeBrincat's shot, and Leonard, you can say he was trying to redirect it with his foot. He was probably just trying to move his foot and his leg out of the way of the shot. It redirected it off him. Perfectly fair way to score, and Detroit goes up 2-1. I like what I've seen from Leonard. A lot of the good, he's not going to come in and beat Patrick Kane, and Detroit desperately does miss him, but he does a lot of those good little things right. I would not be surprised to see them try to keep him in as many games as possible or bring him up as often as possible, depending on how this pans out.
Yeah, and the message was to Leonard that you're not coming up here to be the 13th man. We don't need you to do that, because if you are going to do that, you may as well stay in Grand Rapids and continue to lead them in scoring. So it's great to see him get injected into the second line. I want Patrick Kane in the Red Wings lineup when he comes back. I assume Leonard's going to go back to Grand Rapids, but right now that line's cooking, and I just love their sort of 200-foot game. Really, really difficult to play against. And Leonard's been great. He goes to the dirty areas. He gets those sort of, lunch pail type goals, and he's just really hard to play against.
And a lot of credit, again, continue to Andrew Copp as well. Another 2-assist game this game. A lot of that is because of his facilitation. DeBrincat's going to be DeBrincat. He's been one of the best players on the team in the league this year. But Andrew Copp's come in and he's really elevated his game. A lot of people might be frustrated by okay, why can't you do that down the lineup? Some players are just like that. Some players just need better players to play with, and it's a disproportionate return on investment when you put him up that lineup,
That's kind of his MO though, right? When he was in Winnipeg, when he was in New York, he was a second line center, probably playing with better line mates than, his skill set allows, but that's the kind of players he needs to play with, and he's able to facilitate, be hard to play against, and it's kind of a perfect recipe right now. When Patrick Kane's in, he gets DeBrincat and Kane as his line mates. That's hard to beat, and right now he gets John Leonard, who plays a somewhat similar style to Andrew Copp. So, yeah, is Copp a point per game player in the last 10 games now since
11,
he's moved
10
up?
Or 11, yeah,
it's crazy.
I really do like how he's doing exactly what the Red Wings were lacking, and we were pulling our hair out. And you mentioned it at the start of the season, not getting to the dirty areas, not working hard down low, not winning those 3-foot by 3-foot battles, and he's really just not just embraced that, but he's yeah, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to facilitate guys, and it's going to turn into production. And you can't just bring up anybody from the depth and put them with better players, and all of a sudden they'll produce more. That's not how it works. So it is credit to him. I'm not trying to diminish it. He is a large driver of what you're seeing. And, Leonard has more ability than folks who weren't aware of him might be familiar with or recognize, but still, he's not, an NHL bona fide scorer like DeBrincat. So it does take a good amount of talent to go from Kane to Leonard and not slow the production on your line at all.
Yeah, and I think it's just all those guys play a very similar game. Just, DeBrincat maybe has some elite traits that they don't, but I think they all understand what they're trying to do out there. And when they play a very simple style game, I think it works for them. I think it's just kind of helped unlock each other, and they can inject a guy like John Leonard, and everything just keeps moving smoothly.
So Detroit goes up 2-1. Ethan Frank, who scored the first goal for Washington, 5-hole, scored the second goal, 5-hole, but it was through Sherratt and Talbot's 5-hole. So it's a
double 5-hole.
Yeah, double nutmeg there. There's also no way to phrase that tweet without it seeming like a phrasing thing. So
you just got to lean into it.
Just got to go there. And it goes to OT. Detroit actually gets a power play in OT, nothing doing. And who else other than Mo Seider steps in, understands the gap there, and sees the play. He basically dictated in the post-game interview how everything happened and just recognized the play and Copp drawing a guy in and everything. But he just steps in and fires home the game winner in overtime. His 6th of the season from Copp and Finnie, and just an electric moment for Mo Seider. And we're going to get into the stats that everyone was raving about with Mo Seider coming into this game, but everyone knew how big that was. One, because you go back-to-back against Washington. And two, it's like this guy, as you mentioned at the top, Evan, does it all. One of the best defensive defensemen in the league, and he's been lighting up the score sheet for you for the last 21 games.
He just plays the hardest minutes. I'm not sure if he's playing the hardest minutes this year, but
he's up there.
Basically for his entire career, he has been. So, he's been a 40 to 60 point defenseman, but now he's getting some support from the rest of his team, and now we're starting to see the production ramp up again. I'm not sure what the ceiling is anymore on Moritz Seider.
I feel it's so vindicating because anyone who watched any ounce of Moritz Seider over the last 4+ years would have said, yeah, this guy's this good, and think about how bad this team is. I don't care how much you think you can isolate for variables or look at microstats or, a red number shaded box on a player card or whatever. You did not see maximum Mo Seider over the last 4 seasons. He was doing all that, like you said, Evan, with an amount of difficult deployment that you've not seen before since we started recording these things in modern NHL history. Obviously, when this team got better and he got better defensive partners like him and Edvinsson are legitimately probably the best in the league right now, and better teammates and the team was doing better and they had possession more, there was more to his game. This should not be a surprise to anyone. It should not be a surprise to anyone that we don't know what his ultimate ceiling is and that it's higher than what we've seen for the past 4 years. It's only numpties who have not been watching and just, look at stats and see that Detroit didn't make the playoffs, so to assume that he had nothing else to it.
Oh, yeah. Seider had 41 points, so he had a bad year. It's like, if you really dig into it or watch a lot of the games, you'd realize that he is shouldering the absolute earth defensively for this team. And you think about some of the defensemen that have been drafted in the top 10, we'll say, in the NHL and in the last, since we started the podcast. I don't think there's really any top 10 drafted defensemen that have had a more difficult journey so far in their NHL career. Like, he came in right at the bottom of the bottom for this team and has been shouldering the burden for so long. Like, you look at a guy like Matthew Schaefer, like he's an all-class, all-world defenseman. He's going to be a Norris caliber defenseman. Islanders aren't that bad. They aren't, 2017 Detroit Red Wings bad.
No.
So the Red Wings I feel like Red Wings fans have just been saying, like, just wait and see. Just wait and see when the Red Wings are better. You'll understand what we're saying. And I think we're starting to see the beginnings of it now.
We'll get back into Seider and the stats behind him in a second, but that makes Detroit 8-2-1 in December so far. That's 17 points. So a little update on the stats we gave last episode. No matter which way you cut it, this is their best December in over 10 years. If they lose out the rest of the month in regulation, if they lose every remaining game in regulation, I'm pretty sure they'll still be their best December by points percentage since 2014, and this is their best December by points since 2011.
I'm really happy for the Red Wings that they're playing well right now, but I'm also really sad hearing that stat about how bad Decembers have been for Detroit over the past 14 years.
We've lived through a lot, huh?
You kind of just compartmentalize the trauma and forget about it.
Yeah, there's sometimes someone will say something like, "Oh, remember this year when this happened?"
I'm no, I don't. I
don't.
actually do not.
Detroit for the rest of the month upcoming, they have the Dallas Stars on the 23rd, and then a few days off for Christmas, and then they're on the road in Carolina on the 27th, and then on the 28th in the evening, they're going to be hosting the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're actually going to be recording that morning. So the episode will come out sometime before the Leafs game, and then New Year's Eve against the Winnipeg Jets, and that's what they have remaining for this month, 4 games left. And as of right now, Detroit is sitting atop the Atlantic still. There's teams with games in hand, Montreal, Tampa Bay, both with 2 games in hand. Tampa Bay would pass Detroit if they won both. Montreal would pass Detroit even more so if they won both. So no one's, clear and away, but Detroit continues to bank points. They're still 7-2-1 in their last 10, and they're keeping pace with the best teams in the league right now.
That's what you got to do in the Atlantic. If you take a look at basically everyone above Buffalo Toronto's below Buffalo, just in case anyone's wondering. As of this moment, that's what you got to do. Like, the Red Wings have to give themselves a chance. I know everyone is feeling good in this month and over the last 10 games, but there's a lot of teams that are heating up. Buffalo's like 7-3 in the last 10. Florida's starting to wake up, which is terrifying. So, you got to keep getting your points, got to keep banking them. The Red Wings are first in division. Well, this may change by the time you're hearing this Monday morning, but the Red Wings are doing all they can. They have to get their points. They can't control the teams that they don't play.
That's right. The rest of like Buffalo waking up, and we'll get into their change and everything with their GM and assistant GMs and everything. But like Buffalo, Florida, all of them, it's like even the teams that were out of it are now back in it, but nobody who's in it is now out of it. It's pretty much just the Leafs who suck right now.
Yeah, there's no team that's, mathematically eliminated, but some teams have very poor vibes right now.
Absolutely zero aura, zero vibes, nothing.
Yeah.
Compare the Mo Seider, I can't hear you, to the Austin Matthews, I can't hear you, and that's how those two franchises are going right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Also nice in that game, again, Cam Talbot was excellent, and I think it's really good for Detroit to have two good goalies because it gives you a chance on back-to-backs.
So, yeah, you can put either guy in, and, when the backup goes in, on a back-to-back, like, you're just hoping that you can squeak something out. Guys are trying to get in lanes, block more shots, but now you can put in either John Gibson or Cam Talbot, and you've got a chance to win the game. Like, that instills some confidence in the players, and it just helps them play a little bit more freely.
I loved Prashant's meme that he posted. It was the Drake meme of like, I don't want it, and then like the happy version of like, Detroit was out of the playoffs at Thanksgiving, which is the old benchmark, which obviously doesn't apply this year, but they are leading the Atlantic as we approach Christmas. Make that make sense.
It doesn't.
Hysterical league this year. So again, Detroit 4 games upcoming, and we have a week off before the next podcast. So the 28th is when we're going to be posting the next one featuring Max Bultman. It'll be a remote episode. Detroit will play a couple times between now and then, but nice to record after 2 straight wins, especially against Washington. We are going to be back to talk more about Mo Seider, the Red Wings, the NHL, and everything else. But first, a word from our sponsors back after this. Let's be honest. Bad coffee should be worthy of a major penalty in a game misconduct. If you're still drinking burnt, stale stuff out of a giant plastic tub, I'm telling you it's time to upgrade. Coffee Cult? That's the real deal. They roast only the best of the best specialty-grade Arabica beans in the world. We are talking elite-level coffee. Every batch is roasted fresh after you order, so what shows up at your door hasn't been sitting around for weeks. Right now, the star of their show is the Holiday Blend, and it is unreal. It's a dark roast, 100% Arabica, using beans from Ethiopia and Guatemala. You get deep notes of baker's chocolate and brown sugar. It's warm, rich, and it's festive without being gimmicky. Whether you're gifting it or drinking it during a quiet morning by the tree, it just fits. Use code WWP at KOFFEEKULT.com to get 15% off. And for the rest of the month, if your order is $50 or more, they'll throw in a free Black Coffee Cult mug. Also, free US shipping on orders of $49 or more. If you need a gift, go grab the Coffee Cult loot box. You get a branded mug and a 12-ounce bag of mystery coffee, all boxed up and ready to go. It's a steal, it's fun, you get to try new coffee, and it's not another pair of socks. That's coffeecult.com, code WWP. Go get the good stuff. We're talking about Mo Seider more. Coming into the game against Washington at home, so after the first Washington game, he was not only just the top player among all defensemen in the NHL in goals above replacement per Evolving Hockey stats, he was the top player across all skaters in goals above replacement as measured by Evolving Hockey. He passed Nathan McKinnon to take that top spot. And God knows that after the second Washington game, I didn't check the updated stats. I'm sure he only built on that lead. So for the time being,
couldn't have been worse.
Like, what this dude is doing is outrageous. It is such a shame that this is a Makar year, because I would honestly go to bat and swing it as hard as I can that Mo Seider should be as of right now, the undeniable second choice or the runner-up for the Norris Trophy.
Yeah, I think at a minimum right now, he should be second. I think there's a developing argument that he is in the pure sense of the award, he should win it. Obviously, Cale Makar is Cale Makar. He's an unbelievable player, but Cale Makar gets to play like the majority of the game with the best player on the planet right now, in Nathan MacKinnon. No offense to anyone else on the Red Wings, but there is not a Nathan MacKinnon in the lineup with the games I'm watching. So Seider is building a reputation around the league and in mainstream media, and that really does help and impact voting, because it's kind of like the Connor McDavid thing with the Hart. It's like he should win it every year. But every 1 year here and there, there's someone who just wins it because they're like, we can't keep giving this to Connor McDavid. And I'm not saying that Seider's not having a good year and we should just give it to him, but I think there's an argument to be had to say he's doing what Cale Makar is doing, just in a different flavor.
Yeah, 100%. And like, we both grew up playing defense, and we both grew up watching Nick Lidstrom. And I know he was your favorite player of all time, and someone that every Red Wings fan who played defense tried to idolize. It's like, he has massive offensive contributions. Seider not to Lidstrom's level, but still. But he defends.
Impossible to play against.
Like, his metrics with Simon Edvinsson are off the charts. Like, it's, to a degree, it's that the rest of the Detroit defense and the team is just that much worse than him. And so the goal differential of him on the ice versus off the ice is enormous. But it's actually just that he is that good, and they are that good on the ice together. Like, they are impossible to play against. And even when they do mess up, because, you play that many minutes, you're going to have mistakes. It's like guys who have the puck more are going to have the most turnovers in the league. That's just how it works. Even when they get beat, okay, they have range that is bigger than anyone else's on the ice usually, and they can save themselves with the reach of a hand or a stick or a foot or whatever.
Yeah, I don't think Seider will ever produce more than Makar does. That's just not in it.
Yeah.
That's just not how he plays the game. And that's fine. But I think if you sort of took the totality of the game and how many goals Seider, I'll say, suppresses or prevents the other team from getting, I bet you would be pretty darn close to Cale Makar.
Oh, yeah. And like, for those who don't know what goals above replacement is meant to measure, it's basically a metric that attempts to isolate how many more goals that player contributes to on the ice, for or against, compared to if they were instead a replacement level player or just an average player. So like a placeholder player. And so having Seider rather than a replacement level player brings you that many more goals on the ice. And he has an accumulated effect more than anyone else in the league. It's not a perfect metric, sure. I think I struggle a lot with metrics that try to isolate like micro moments, or like,
especially in a game that's extremely random.
Yes, it's so dynamic and fluid, but broadly, like, those metrics that capture, broad level, high sample size stats like that, like, the guys at the top are the guys who are contributing most to their
There's no
team
surprises
success.
in the top 10 of those types of lists.
No. Like, and you'll see a guy like Mattias Samuelsson is very high in that. And someone asked me, like, does that mean like Mattias Samuelsson is also having a Norris level season? I'm like, Mattias Samuelsson has actually been quite excellent for the Sabres, and people wouldn't notice that because it's the Sabres. But then you also do have to look at the production and the eye test and the deployment levels and things like that, which is where he's just outpacing nearly everyone else, except for, the guy who's a generational special talent at his position.
Yeah, no one stat tells the whole picture, right? Like, this is just a snippet into what Seider provides the Detroit Red Wings versus the other best players in the league. But it's a stat that supports our claim, so I will have all day for it.
Your Honor, we're going to continue because it's convenient for our argument.
Exactly.
It also, like, it papers over a lot of things that, like, do ail the Red Wings. Okay, the Red Wings were getting really good goal scoring from their second line, whether it was Kane in there or Leonard in there, like Copp and DeBrincat, they were going well. Larkin's not looked at his best for the past little while. Lucas Raymond went 9 games without scoring. Like, I don't know if one or both of those guys at points or currently are holding, minor injuries or whatever. Raymond's still not 100% healthy after his shoulder thing, but like, those were things that the Red Wings were facing And they weren't as big of issues as they would have been in the past because Mo Seider and Simon Edvinsson have been, one, contributing offensively, and two, absolutely deleting the other team's offensive contributions. And it's made Gibson's life easier. It got him to be able to find the space to get into form. I think Gibson's been really good over his last 7 games. I don't think he has been electric or lights out. He's just been given the space to settle in.
Yeah, I would agree. And like, I think if the season was to end right now, I think if you were to claim Red Wings MVPs, it'd be hard to go against like Seider, DeBrincat, Edvinsson. Like I could hear a conversation for Larkin and Raymond, absolutely, but I think 2 defensemen are probably in the top 3.
I think Seider for sure. I think it's a shame because DeBrincat's been so great, but I think it's Seider. Yeah, without a doubt, it's him. He's emerged to be, from every moment, again, since he was drafted, he's emerged to be what the Red Wings intended him to be. If you did a poll of every GM in the league of like, take Cale Makar out of the equation, which defenseman would you pick to build your team around right now? A surprising amount would say Mo Seider because he does everything.
Right-handed defenseman. He's huge. He's rangy. Plays a bajillion minutes a game. Hasn't missed a game. So he's dependable. Yeah, like he's a franchise level player.
Mo Seider's here and Brad's not.
That's right.
Brad has Christmas reasons for it. Yeah, again, I already used the Santa's Workshop joke, but we'll forgive him for that one. Actually, I shouldn't even talk about playing through injury. Brad has probably had every virus on earth in the studio.
He is Mr. Burns.
Impressive for us, too, that we don't get more sick sitting next to him.
Our antibodies are probably outrageous.
We
should donate our bodies to science.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we only have a few good years left.
Mine's like
lowercase g.
Whatever red they use in Doritos is like mostly. I don't have microplastics. I have like red number 5 in my organisms. Or in my organs. Yeah.
You're technically 12% property of Frito-Lay.
At least.
The Red Wings have continued to benefit from that top pairing. Mo Seider continues to be the most ice-cold athlete in Detroit right now, and we're all here just to witness it. Again, keys to the city, Norris, Hart, give it all to him. Let's get into some more Red Wings storylines. Today, Mason Appleton was reactivated from IR. He came into the lineup, and folks were wondering who would come out. JBD was a scratch, and he's coming in and out this season, but Marco Kasper was a scratch. And after the game, Max Bultman reported that Todd McLellan, had said that was about making sure all the guys got to play in front of their moms. And that I do think is the main driver. They probably planned this in advance to say like, hey, who are the guys on the fringes? Okay, you're going to play game 1, but not game 2 kind of thing. And that's nice. Like going back to the mom's trip, you should see your son play if he's on the team.
Oh, 100%.
So, but still, like Marco Kasper was, before at least the first Washington game, on the kind of precipice when, if you said that at the start of the season, you'd be like, oh, he should not even be in that conversation. And we're going to lead this off by saying, again, the first game was probably one of his best games in a while. And you see him kind of putting in the work for the paces and the motions he should be going through. But you can't get around the fact that he has to continue to build on that momentum. Otherwise, this is one of the worst sophomore slumps I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know how to add on top of that statement because it
feels like you're
absolutely true. You don't want to dump on a guy like he is clearly going through the paces right now. Like he's having a very tough go this season. Doesn't really look like himself, but we saw a twinkle of it last game, the Saturday game against Washington, where I was wondering if Marco Kasper's back. Have him sit this game, get Mason Appleton in so his mom can watch him play. Gives Mason another day of rest so he can play Sunday, be ready to go, and just lets Kasper, enjoy that he had a great game, shut it down for a day, take some time to just enjoy that you've starting to find your game a little bit, and come back hopefully against Dallas, and hopefully he can build upon this. The fact that the Red Wings are where they're at without contributions or extremely limited contributions from Marco Kasper is a real testament to the rest of the team. But if they can get him going, that will absolutely help secure Detroit a playoff spot.
And like the thing about his slumped play is there's very little that you can point to from previous season where you're like, okay, well, that was a flash in the pan. Like, he generated his chances for himself. I think he was shooting at a higher percentage than you could reasonably expect, but it's not like he was just getting lucky tips or leaky goalies. Like, he was just getting to high danger areas and scoring like working man's, lunch pail, blue collar goals, the kind of goals that not just help you keep sustained production, but win you tough games and playoff games even. And he played the right way. And it's not like he played a dumb game, but he played like a simple fundamentals game to a level that a lot of other guys wouldn't, and still had that offensive talent. And you saw it pretty much from December for the rest of the season last year. And this year, at times, he's looked like a deer in headlights. He's looked a little bit like Brad said last episode, which I thought was apt. Like, he looks like he's seeing ghosts out there, just overthinking the game, like sometimes overcommitted to a spot, sometimes just as a flyby on a guy where he should have taken a body, and it doesn't really have the belief in his game. I still think, like, when he comes back, I do hope that he continues to build on that Washington game, but if they need to find the confidence for him, I know they like Emmett Finnie on that top line because he skates well and he gets to the right areas, and he's not been like bad or anything, but he's not like the most talented player up there. I would like to just get Kasper in that spot for a little while temporarily just to get him going. I think this is all mental and confidence. I don't think all of a sudden this guy's a bust. It just doesn't make sense based on what we've seen.
I 100% agree. And yeah, I think that's probably that would be one of my top options if he can't continue to build in the bottom six, is get him some time up there with Larkin and Raymond. Just try and get him going. Like, if he can just see the puck go in the net, or just have some great plays with Larkin and Raymond for a game, that might be all he needs to try just get this back on track and get going. Doesn't matter how many points he finishes the season with, if he just we can see a glimpse and some consistency to his game again, that'll be more than enough, I think, for Red Wings fans.
See a puck go in after you make a good play is huge. The goal Soderblom scored in the first Washington game, just before that, I'm pretty sure it was Kasper who fed him or Kasper would have been involved in a really high, danger opportunity that Soderblom didn't bury. And I'm sure Kasper saw that and was like, what do I need to do?
Yeah.
What do I need to do to get an assist here? Like, yeah, you just watch the puck go in either off your stick or off a play that you facilitated, or like you get the puck to the hard areas. And I refuse to believe, not because I'm a homer or because I'm biased, and sure, on both of those things, but in this case, like, I refuse to believe that he is not as talented as we saw last season. I think a dip in production, some lower shooting percentage, gripping the stick too tight, that's all normal. But this is a lot, and I just don't think it's anything other than he's just got to learn how to be a pro in the way where you show up and do the same thing game in and game out sustainably. Like, it's Lucas Raymond went through it to a way lesser degree, but you saw his time and space got deleted, and he almost had to rethink how he approached the game, but he did it. So I think it's there for Marco.
Me too.
Yeah. All right. Getting into the Griffins, who, I mean, they're missing John Leonard right now, but you wouldn't know it. They are off to a record start across the entire history of the AHL. If you look at the standings at the time of recording, they are 24-1-1 with like the
sounds good.
Yeah. And they are also up 5-0 with 12 minutes left in the third.
Also probably good.
This is the best start in AHL history. This team is doing absolutely nutty things. Oh, you take your leading point scorer away? Not even going to miss a beat. This is insane. Yes, they are stocked with, guys who are probably depth NHL players for the most part, and it's a unique situation. But Dan Watson, back-to-back All-Star head coach, like, he is going. I'm not going to be surprised if Dan Watson doesn't start to get some calls, and the Red Wings are going to have to, start to field that, because what he's done with that team is nothing short of remarkable.
Yeah, and today they're wearing their Pistons teal jerseys as well. Like,
so sick.
The Griffins just can't miss right now.
It's the holidays, so I can't afford to be getting one of those jerseys. I don't really wear jerseys that much anymore, just by nature of what we do. But I want one of those so badly. The goaltending stats, so obviously you can imagine Sebastian Cossa is among the league leaders. 14-1-0, a .936 save percentage, and 3 shutouts.
That's okay.
Through 15 games. 1 in every 5 games for him right now is a shutout. There's so much to, and MBN is going well. Like, there's so much to be pumped about in the Red Wings organization. Toledo is going well. Like, this entire organization, top to bottom, is just having a great start to their 25-26 season. And it's a really foreign concept. Like, it feels bizarre.
I have imposter syndrome.
Oh, yeah. Like, whenever people ask me,
This
like,
can't happen to us.
when like hockey watchers or like friends and family who just know that we do the show, they ask like, oh, how are the Red Wings doing? My initial response for the last 10 years has just been like some
we suck.
guttural noise of disgust. But it's like, I'll think about it. I'm like, oh, wait, no, actually, they're.
Maybe we don't suck.
We said last episode, and you look at all those December stats and stuff, like, you can still point to holes on this roster and what this team needs to do. And yeah, the Atlantic's tight, but this whole organization has come a long way. Imagine telling Adam Ernie 11 goals leading the team version of Brad and Ryan and Evan this.
We don't need to dip back into like the 2018s like we did last episode.
No, yeah.
We just skip past that and enjoy the good vibes we have on a Sunday evening.
I'm curious to see what the Red Wings do in terms of the Griffins and Leonard whenever Kane comes back. And again, there's no version of the Red Wings that's better without Patrick Kane. I think anyone who just looks at the, whatever numbers they want to look at, they're like, oh, Kane 5-on-5 hurts the Red Wings. Like, no, you need to watch like 5 seconds of this hockey team to understand that this team has come a long way because of his presence. But when he comes back, he'll displace John Leonard. And what are they going to do with him?
That's the decision I've been struggling with in my mind, because I'm sure they're thrilled with what they've seen so far out of Leonard. He's done everything they could have asked for and more. Like, I don't know. Do you throw him into the bottom 6? Like, you can't put Patrick Kane in the bottom 6. That's just a non-starter. And the Copp, DeBrincat, Kane line had chemistry before Kane was hurt. So do you put Leonard in the bottom 6? Do you make like a Kasper, Danielson, Leonard line? Like, there's options there. Do you send him back to Grand Rapids and just let him keep going? I don't know. That's a tough decision. There's so many roster implications, but there's also person implications too, right? Like, he's come up and produced, and then you're going to send him back down. Like, I know the NHL's a business and it can be cold at times, but yeah, there's a lot weighing on this decision, and it's going to impact both Grand Rapids and Detroit.
I wouldn't be surprised, and this isn't based on any knowledge of anything, like this is just me trying to do some roster math. I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit doesn't try to ship out more of the logjam of their depth players, guys who they see as, okay, they've been outcompeted, outbattled. Because you also look at, all right, if you give Kasper that top line winger spot, for example, but you're not shipping Finnie off to Grand Rapids. He's still at NHL Red Wing.
Yeah.
He's been good enough at least. Like, you see what he does in the bottom 6. You see what Leonard might do. Like you said, Soderblom's been doing a lot better. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to see what's out there for some other guys. Talking about guys who they already have shipped out and getting into NHL news now, Jonatan Berggren is off to the funniest possible start.
I'm happy. It's hilarious, but I'm just happy for him. Like, this divorce needed to happen. I would think some people would say multiple seasons ago. That's how the NHL works. You just lose your spot in an organization. You have a fresh start. It either works or it doesn't, and it's working out for him. And he's a great guy, and I'm happy for him.
100%. At the end of the day, that's what it is. Like, you're not going to keep everyone. And I mean, look at the inverse situation where Detroit got Fabry from St. Louis for a very small price. It wasn't off waivers. And Fabry scored lights out to start. And we were all like, the trade was 1-for-1 and Robbie Fabry. And yeah, Fabry eventually settled in, but he was a Red Wing for a while. And with Berggren, is he going to keep this pace? I would be surprised, because I think there is a new team bump. I think you're re-energized. He does have a bigger opportunity in St. Louis, and that will go a long way for sure. But I wonder where he'll settle into. But even if it's the same thing as Fabry, it's like, you're hot for stretches, but otherwise you're just like a solid everyday guy and you contribute in that role. I don't think anyone's surprised that was in him. It just wasn't going to be in Detroit. Like, he is playing through 3 games, like a very small sample, better in St. Louis than he was in Detroit. Sometimes guys they need a new start. And he told the Red Wings, I want to be elsewhere.
Yeah. And great on the Red Wings to oblige after the amount of time Berggren's kind of just muddled in the organization. I'm just happy for him. Like, his future, I don't think, was in Detroit, so the Red Wings did him a favor. Let him move on. St. Louis is a great city to play in. Their organization's a little bit all over the place, but there's still some good players there. He can, get the minutes he thinks he should be playing, and so far he's taken advantage of it.
Yeah, first game was like right after he got picked up, played like 12, 13 minutes, nothing on the scoreboard. Second game, ripped a 6-shot short side. Third game, a goal and 2 assists. So, I mean, would I be surprised if, again, like that Fabry situation happens? Not necessarily. Would I be surprised if he settles in and produces closer to what he was doing with the Red Wings and St. Louis has questions about how he plays off the puck? I wouldn't be surprised.
Sure, maybe.
Somewhere in between is where I expect it.
Yeah, like he could finish with 10 points in the next 40 games and be like, all right, that's the Berggren we all know and love. So he could end up with, 25, 30 points in 40 games, and I think people wouldn't be surprised. Like,
different opportunity there.
Different opportunity, different team, different looks, different structures. Like, it's apples to oranges, but I'm just happy that the opportunity has now presented itself to him.
You think his half a boat got moved over there?
Well, you'd have to find half a trailer, and that can be difficult, especially in the winter.
He's already bad at navigating in and of himself.
You imagine? They should have just attached a GoPro to his car I'm sure he didn't take a road trip down there, but just get him on the road.
The Quinn Hughes apparently forgot his equipment. And I'm like, that sounds like a Berggren move.
I'm sure Minnesota was able to. I'm sure Minnesota fans were probably lining up to just give him equipment.
Well, they flew it in from New Jersey where he was hanging out with. Which is got to be insulting to the Devils fans.
That is so funny.
Speaking of funny, this bothers me, but did you see Marchand with the nut tap on Bussy? He falls over and then Florida scores. I'm like, come on, man.
There's so many jokes there that I can't tell right now.
I know. If you want the Patreon exclusive, you can guess what's coming in there.
Oh, God. Yes, I did see that. Yeah. Yeah, very on brand.
I have no respect for the nut tap. Am I like, I just...
No, you know what? You want to take your skate off and stab a man, I'm cool. I'm game. You do that.
That's old school hockey.
Yeah, speaking of which, I saw an Instagram reel of like, Leaf fans right now are in the like, remember the good old days vibe when they still didn't win anything, but at least they had Wendell Clark literally murder people. I'm good with that. But the nut tap, the cup check, there's just certain things you just don't do.
Right? It's like
that's death. That's the death penalty for me.
Like that's the code as a man.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, does he have kids? If he doesn't have kids yet, you really want to be doing, and it's just like, it's so cheap. And for Marchand, like how quick that happened, like that was muscle memory. That was a reaction play.
Oh yeah.
His rat DNA it's literally DNA.
It's not his fault. It's just genetics.
Like it is unbelievable how instantaneous that was. I hate that play and I still laughed at it. I'm like,
it's low even for him, and he's licked a man.
Shorter than Brad. And like the whole narrative with like Florida doesn't get penalized or suspended for everything. I'm like, how do you blame people for saying that? You saw Seth Jones get nothing for an elbow right to the nose, and then you get nothing after like no call in the play for the nut tap or anything. I'm like, God.
We've got replay, but not for this.
No. You can't do that to the Florida Panthers, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champs.
Yeah.
Like you don't want conspiracy theories. You got a hot take, but I think we should be penalizing guys for nut taps.
Yeah. If there's ever a $5,000 fine that should be handed out, it should be that check should be written as soon as Brad Marchand gets off the ice.
I think you should have to volunteer doing like surgery prep at a vasectomy clinic if you nut tap someone.
Think of the content.
Brad Marchand would actually kill that content. I think he would do that with a smile on his face.
Yes.
You should not have to. Anyways.
They'd have to get a separate mask just for his nose.
All right, jumping into other NHL news, actual material stuff. The Buffalo Sabres, just in time, got rid of Kevin Adams. Just in time.
before he could do anything else.
They bring in Jarmo Kekalainen, which was, predictable. Kevin Adams hired his own replacement there. I think he knew that was going to be the case, but Kekalainen was on as an advisor. He comes in, he brings in assistant GMs from across the league, Berggren, another, assistant GM from his time in Columbus, and Buffalo seems to immediately respond by going on an insane heater and playing.
Of course, because this season makes no sense
at all. And it's kind of disappointing because I was hoping to see Buffalo as a seller. So we'll see. If this hangs on, it does make the deadline very interesting, but it removes a team who had pieces that you might be able to leech things off of. And Jarmo's he's not had the kind of success to be known as this is a bona fide great GM, but he's a notoriously tougher GM to deal with and negotiate with. So, we'll see, but.
Yeah, that's exactly what Rasmus Dahlin wants.
Oh, he was giddy when they talked to him after. He was practically giddy about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, sometimes you just need a change and
Jarmo's actually is also huge and intimidating, so I would say only nice things to him as well.
Apparently he went in and talked to the team. It was like, we're talking about playoffs this year. I'm not talking about tearing things down.
I love it.
Yeah, that's what you have to.
Buffalo needs that sort of kick in the ass type thing. And I'm sure a lot of the guys who've been there a long time, Alex Tuch, Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power, they're probably like, thank God.
Yeah.
Someone is coming in here and saying, this is what we're doing.
And just from a neutral perspective, there's no way you look at that team and think, yeah, what was going into it in terms of talent and ability and assets is what you're getting out in terms of production.
No, the math did not add up. Which is a real shame because Buffalo's such a great hockey city. They're in the Atlantic, so I hope for nothing but the worst. But
right.
When Buffalo's good, I think the league benefits.
100%. It's okay, we'll talk about the Leafs in a second, but the Leafs are actually not selling out the arena for the first time in feels like decades, and that's terrible for the league because that is a ton of revenue. Buffalo for viewership of non-competing teams in a game that someone's watching, let's say it's it's the playoffs and it's Florida, Edmonton. The biggest viewing cities will be Florida and Edmonton, and then the next up is always Buffalo. It's always Buffalo.
Always. They love hockey, so as much as I hate...
In America, at least.
In America, yeah. As much as I hate another strong team in the Atlantic, Buffalo's a great hockey city, and it feels almost like... I almost feel bad how bad it's gone in Buffalo for the past... God, it feels like 20 years. They should at least be knocking on the door of the playoffs by now, minimum. They deserve to not be such a doormat for the rest of the league.
And the optimistic view is the Red Wings have already lost their games to Buffalo this year for the most part.
Yeah, we're good.
If Buffalo starts to take points off of other Atlantic teams, and Buffalo's, they're behind by very little because everything's so tight, but it might give Detroit some breathing room if you try to galaxy brain this. Some trades around the league. We talked about Phil Deneau being on the trade block. He wanted out, and it ended up happening. Unsurprisingly, he went back to Montreal. He left Montreal because they didn't want to give him the contract in the first place. They get the whole contract back, and they gave up a second-round pick. It was actually Columbus' second-round pick that they gave up for next season in exchange. So Deneau to Montreal. We'll see if he comes in and has a refreshed production level and he's back to his old self, then that's a great get. Otherwise, it's a bit of a risk.
I would agree.
And then Mason Marchment wasn't working out in Seattle, funny enough. I was kind of surprised by that. But he is shipped out to Columbus in exchange for another Columbus second-round pick, this one in 2027. And Columbus is actually dealing it, and a New York Rangers 2026 fourth-round pick. So Seattle, does well on the asset in terms of what they initially traded for and then what they got back. But Marchment goes to Columbus. So some minor news before the trade freeze came into play on Friday.
I think it was an hour or something before the trade freeze. It was literally down to the wire. Seattle's horrifically bad. I think they have, when we talk about the Red Wings having a bunch of second lines, well, Seattle's like that, but they have third lines.
Right. And it feels like it's been the case since the expansion draft, and everyone's saying, wait and see, but
we're waiting.
It never happened.
Yeah. Their hope is Matty Beniers can somehow just ascend to another level, which he's got the talent to do it, but the supporting cast it doesn't have that sort of talent to facilitate that.
As a team who has Matty Beniers types, you need more.
Yeah.
You absolutely need more. 2-8 in their last 10. Holy,
They're awful.
it's going bad. Can you believe right now Calgary is ahead of Winnipeg?
No.
Winnipeg has a couple games in hand, but Calgary's been hot. They've been 6-3-1, and you would think they're one of the worst teams in the league.
The season doesn't make any sense.
No. And then the story right now is what's going to happen in Toronto. Is it going to be Craig Berube out? Is it going to be Brad Treliving out? Is it going to be those guys extended, which I also saw suggested?
Man, the comments Berube's had lately about the players and the team and Matthews going at the fans, like, I think Berube is probably on his way out, and I think he would be like, thumbs up, thank you very much, I'm good, because I think he's done with the players, at least from the comments he's made publicly. He sounds like he's done with the personalities and the players, and it sounds like the players are done with him, so it's trouble.
Like, I get it. You can point to any individual moment. You're like, yeah, I get why that guy had his course with the players or that player, had to leave town. But at some point, there's a broad trend here, and it just feels like the whole well is poisoned.
Yeah.
Like, how many coaches are you guys going to run through?
At some point, it can't be the coach anymore. Like, you've tried every style of coach, it seems like.
And, like, I think culture and vibes and the feel of the game and the team in the city, those all matter for a hockey franchise. I 100% believe that. You can't just fix that on its own, though. The one thing they can do is I don't understand how they went from the combo of Dubas and Shanahan, who ran those 3 major contracts to the worst possible outcomes, and they followed it up with Brad Treliving, who didn't have a ton of success to speak for in Calgary in terms of like actually getting to the big stage. Why not poach someone from the Floridas, the Tampas, the whoever? Like, go get a guy like an AGM. Like, I don't know if he's ever going to be a GM, but I think of Sonny Meta over in Florida. And I'm like, why are you not going after him? Why are you not going after someone from Tampa Bay or, Dallas or these teams where their GM's not going to leave, but they have great people under them? You bring in a retread isn't bad, but a guy who's didn't have an excellent resume, and you followed up terrible management with more bad management. You were never going to get better.
No, yeah. Once again, I do not feel bad for Leafs fans. But it is tough, They have some of the best players on the planet, and they're just falling apart.
Yeah, and Austin Matthews, who has one of the most meteoric declines I've ever seen in a guy of his level.
I think they might miss Mitch Marner a little bit.
Oh my God, did they ever? And we've talked on the show about it. He just doesn't look the same. I wouldn't be surprised if, when he hangs them up, there's some like Eric Lindros type injuries going on there where it's like, yeah, he has all the talent in the world, but something was holding him back, like physically just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know. Sure, they have great players and, everyone would love Matthew Nyes on their team, for example, but just the vibes around that team are god-awful.
And you can't escape those things when you're in a hockey-crazed city like Toronto. Like, you can't just leave that at the rink like you would in, like, Carolina or
Florida
or wherever. And it's like, all right, we leave our work at the office, we're good. In Toronto, it's unescapable. The vibes permeate throughout the city, whether they're good or bad. So it's a tough spot to try and dig yourself out of.
And for the first time, they're seeing like they're not selling out games. I mean, woe is them. They're selling like 18,000 seats a night on average. And there's some teams in the league who would kill for that. But still, like Toronto is like, hey, doesn't matter how bad things are going. Toronto is going to be feeding the rest of this league in terms of money redistribution of revenue from their gate. And I mean, there's a lot there. Cost of living is outrageous. Cost of those tickets is outrageous. Increases every year. So much of it is so corporate. The atmosphere is honestly
awful.
We've been there how many times? It's terrible.
It's a museum.
And it's just like suits all around. You're not getting the commute in transit in the city is not easy to get to. It's like none of it's set up. And
you imagine taking a family of 4 to a Leafs game on a Saturday night? Like, you got to somehow get downtown, whether that's public transit or drive.
You're insane.
If you're insane.
Which that's like Brad coded.
Yeah, you got to pay $1 bajillion to get tickets, and then the product on ice right now is terrible. Like,
yeah,
I don't blame fans at all for staying home.
Something's got to change there, and I don't know if it will. It's very like Ferrari has the same problems year over year over year in F1, and they bring in people, and those people leave, and they're like, yeah, no one listened to me. They refuse to change at their very core.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that's what the Leafs are. Great for the rest of the Atlantic.
Yeah. I'm shedding a tear over here. That's for sure.
All right. We're going to take another quick break here. When we're back, the final segment on this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, back after this.
We're going to overtime.
Overtime is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast. If you want to support the show, again, the bonus overtime episodes, the Discord, the giveaways, and you allow us to do everything we do, including host Winged Wheel podcast nights with the Detroit Red Wings and the Grand Rapids Griffins. The Griffins one's coming up in less than a month here.
I know. I was thinking about that when I saw the jerseys today. I was like, we're like 3 weeks out.
Yeah, it's insane. There's just such like a opaque barrier of the holidays.
I'm on vacation right now, and I said to Catherine this morning, I was like, I have no idea what day of the week it is.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not missing any appointments or important things to do.
Is there a podcast today? No? Cool.
That's basically how it's been.
GriffinsHockey.com/WWP if you want to get tickets to that event. And you also get a signed Winged Wheel podcast and Grand Rapids Griffins anniversary themed puck, and it's signed by a mystery Griffins player. So very cool.
My favorite weekend of the year.
Oh.
Every time we go, it's my absolute favorite. The drive's not the funnest. It's a little long, but man, do I love Grand Rapids. Those games are so much fun. I eat a bajillion hot dogs on Friday night.
You gotta bring a hat?
Bring in the hat. Bad day to be a hot dog. Will be warm Friday evening for the $2 hot dog night. I feel terrible the next day, but I wake up, ready to go. The events are always so great. The Griffins are so wonderful to work with. Wonderful to have Dan Watson on again, keep the good vibes going. Yeah,
just saying, every year he's been on the podcast, every year he's been an all-star head coach. So
100%. So it's my favorite weekend of the year. I can't wait.
All right, let's take some questions from our patrons to start off this overtime segment. Brian Munn says, if you had to imagine what we would have to give up for Werenski or Dahlin compared to Quinn Hughes, would it be less or the same? I think Dahlin, you can make the argument of more because he comes with a much longer cost control and certainty that he'd play for you. Like he's in year 2 of 8 of a contract. He's making $11 million, so he's making his money for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely not a conversation on who is the better player. It's an asset question.
And Werenski, I think you can make the argument for same, if not a touch less than Hughes. He's in year 4 of 6. He's making 9.5. So 2 years after this one compared to 1 year after this one for Hughes, but a lot of people would take Hughes over Werenski, so it's neither here nor there. And I think you, Evan, would prefer Dahlin, so you wouldn't have to pronounce.
Exactly, yes, that is correct. We need more Swedish players on the Detroit Red Wings.
Always been a
Took out Berggren. We got to bring in Dahlin. That's just math.
Lars, thanks you for your contribution. All right, next question here. Matthew Soler says, you guys mentioned Bill Guerin being a bad GM. What about him makes you think so? He seems to do good at picking up and locking up young talent and gets good value in most of his trades, even if they are ballsy at times. Yeah, I think some of the moves are a little bit head scratching, and I think ballsy for sure. At points, you're like, why? I think with the cap opening up a ton, you're going to see him be able to do a lot more. I know Brad mentioned he doesn't think Guerin's a good GM, and I think the jury is out in the most generous interpretation in my mind. I like that he's ballsy, and I think that is by and large advantageous in the NHL. So if he continues on this path, he will probably be more successful than he has been. I don't know. I don't think I wouldn't personally say he's, a bona fide bad GM. I just don't think he's proven to be a good one yet.
Yeah. GMs to me are always weighed by the mistakes they do or do not make. And Bill Guerin's in a tough spot. Like Kaprizov kind of could write his own ticket and they can't let him walk. And when your owner says, we'll pay him whatever he wants,
thanks,
you're in I mean, at the end of the day, the owner's paying, but Bill Guerin manages the cap. He was in a tough spot, and sure, it's not ideal, but now you've got Kaprizov for a bajillion years and for $1 bajillion. I'm somewhere in between. Like, I don't think he's a bad GM. I respect the hell out of him for being like, we're doing this. There's a lot of GMs who just slow burn forever and nothing ever happens. Whereas he's like, we've locked up one of the best players on the planet. Matthew Boldy could be a star in this league. Wallstedt could be a star in this league. We're going for it.
Yeah.
Traded up for Zeev Buium, who was falling. I'm sure a lot of Red Wings fans would have wished Detroit could have made that happen. I like that he makes big splashes. If it doesn't work, I think fans would say, you know what, at least we tried.
Yep.
If we don't win, hey, at least we got Quinn Hughes.
That's a really good point. Like a GM that doesn't make as many mistakes, but just does nothing, like he's net neutral by the time he's out. You're
just wasting my time.
Yeah.
This is an entertainment product at the end of the day, and fans in Minnesota are now watching Quinn Hughes take this team to another level. Right now, they do not care about contract implications of that trade.
Winter Knight says, I really like where the forwards are at right now. I think Soderblom, Kasper, and Danielson have been really good, even though not scoring as much. I really feel like the biggest upgrade needed is second pair left D. If we can get someone in that spot and push Sherratt, who hasn't been bad in a contract year, into a third pair role and rotate the right D as needed, Johansson can play his offhand, it would really solidify the defense even more. Is this something that could happen realistically, and who is actually available that could fit this role? I have the exact same opinion. I think, you would obviously add top six talent if you could to the forward group, but imagine Seider and Edvinsson, and then another pair where you have Sandin-Pellikka's offensive acuity and a guy who's just rock solid defensively. Like, I hate to point to the guys that the Red Wings have let go over the last few years, so I'll pull an example. I really was surprised when Edmonton let go of Brett Kulak in that trade. Not having the best year, but in previous playoffs, for example, he was really good. And he was useful in that role of just like a steady guy who just the meat and potatoes does what you need to do. I would have liked that depth pickup for the Red Wings.
You just need a slightly better version of Ben Sherratt, who's maybe a little more calculated in some of the chances they take around the ice. But like you said, I have the same opinion. If the Red Wings could add top six talent, obviously that'd be fantastic. But if they can add a top four left defenseman who's like a bona fide minute muncher, just a good 200-foot defenseman, that's going to mean a lot for that top pairing. Like, they're going to be able to just do and impose their will every single game.
Yeah. And like, they're available. Like, you're going to have to reason with the fact that you're not going to find a guy who on paper is going to be top four lefty, but in terms of how he fits into the roster, it works just fine. It's like a little bit of a souped up version of what Sherratt is right now. It's working just fine with Sandin-Pellikka on the second pair, but imagine someone who's just a little bit more steady, or even someone who leaves Sherratt in the second pair, but they're the same thing on the third pair, right?
Yeah, if you bring in another Sherratt and they play on the third pair, like, that's great.
Yeah, and it's the Kulak types. Grizzly could have been had for free this offseason. I don't know where he wanted to go, so I'm not saying the Red Wings whiffed. Who knows if he even wanted to come, but those are the guys where you kind of just have to figure it out. Like, think of like Olli Mata kind of thing. Like, sometimes those guys work out and they just mesh well. And if you have Axel Sandin-Pellikka doing all of the work in terms of puck transport and offensive game from your defense on that pair, then their job is almost halved, and it makes it easier to find those guys. So that's one of the spots where free agency is not necessarily a completely barren wasteland. Joe Falzone says, crazy that Detroit's winning like this while Larkin is cold. Do you think something is wrong or just a cold streak, or am I mistaken? Yeah, like we talked about in the show, it could be a cold streak. I wonder if he's not nursing something. A lot of miles for sure on him too, like a lot of minutes, and had to do a lot of lifting, especially earlier in the season when the depth scoring wasn't there as much. So I'm not sure. I don't expect it to last forever. Like, this happens, but
we're heading into a bit of a break. Good time to reset, heal up maybe any minor bruises that have accumulated through the season thus far. This might be a good time to reset for him.
And I say again about Finnie, like, I like what Finnie's done. I have a lot of admiration for how big of a role he stepped into. I don't think he has been bad, but I think at points you see, like, yeah, there's a kid out there who is absolutely playing way beyond what the team thought he would be, and he's learning on the go right now. And some games he does really well and is exactly where they need him to be, and he's contributing on the score sheet, and he's helping his teammates. In some games you can see the talent disparity between Larkin and Raymond and then Finnie, and that's okay. Like, it's his rookie season. I think he has absolutely more offensive in him, but it also means that when Larkin or Raymond go cold, there's one less line mate who is as likely to lift them up,
Yeah.
Brad's secret stash of glove box Uncrustables says, let's say that Stan Bowman, increasingly desperate after his Tristan Jarry gambit blew up in his face because Jarry's injured, comes to Steve with the desire to trade for Kosa to finally show McDavid that he's serious about permanently addressing the Oilers' goalie issues. If you're Steve, what are you realistically demanding as a return that the Oilers might actually agree to? We took a look during break here. What do they have?
Nothing.
Anyone who's good, they need right now because they have god-awful contracts and dead weight. They don't have a first-round pick next year. They have a first-round pick in 27 and 28. Like,
doesn't totally help. Well, the Edmonton might be bad enough at that point because Connor McDavid's left.
Like there's no prospects to speak of. They lost those two guys to St. Louis on offer sheets. Like I got asked this by a couple different Oilers radio shows. And like, what do you think? I'm like, for who? For who? I think Detroit has spoils right now in terms of Kosa and Augustine being the two best goalie prospects in the league. And then you have other guys who are lighting it up in Gylander and Guimond and other guys to various degrees. Like they have the depth where they can move these guys for someone, but there's almost no point. You'd rather move them to a team who has premier prospects.
A team, if Kosa became available, there's absolutely another contender or any other team that could outbid Edmonton. Like Edmonton's in win now mode, so they don't want to make a roster move. And truthfully, if you look at the roster, the depth players that they have who could play an elevated role in Detroit are terrible. And then they don't have any true prospects and they don't have any picks. Like, I don't know what the hell you do if you're Edmonton and they have no assets that the Red Wings would really want.
And you look at Podkolzin. They need Podkolzin bad. He's making $1 million and he's producing for them. They need him to offset Darnell Nurse's 9.5 and everything else.
Yeah, like the only way it makes sense is if the Red Wings get a couple first round picks and they can send a contract back maybe the other way to free them up to sign a big ticket or trade for a bigger piece. Like it could be part of a move. But straight up, one team to one team, I just don't see how it works between Detroit and Edmonton.
Tough time in Edmonton. That's the most all or nothing team I've ever
seen. Need to make a move, but what do you do?
Yeah, you're stuck. All that for Tristan Jarry and he gets hurt. I would have taken Kulak for Cam Talbot.
100%.
Brad's number one fan says, I remember when we were talking about bringing in Marner and the narrative about him being a ghost in the playoffs was shut down with, we need to make the playoffs first, so who cares? I'm curious why there's a shift with the Hughes miss, and now we're talking like playoffs are a lock and we would lack physicality in a playoff series if we traded for him. Instead, we need to get to the playoffs for that to matter. Is this cope or is the team being for real good this long, sparking this confidence that we're for sure making it and we need to be concerned about playoff performances now? I think that was more just about if you ship out Edvinsson.
Yeah.
Like you lack the physicality and then you take away one of the biggest physical, rangy players that you have who can play the kind of game that you need to win playoff games. And it's still like the jury's out, you know? Like, yeah, Hughes can get you there and then he can win you games in different ways in the playoffs. But that's where that narrative's coming from. It's just specifically if you're shipping out Edvinsson. If you're bringing in Marner, it would have been for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still think, like, you know, if you could have made that trade with Edvinsson involved, but Hughes would have been guaranteed to sign, I'm still doing that, but that's just not what the Red Wings had. Elliot Friedman also reported, and again, this goes in line with what we were hearing as well, like the Edvinsson was a non-starter for them, but even more than anything, it's just they never really got to the conversations that were deeper because they just didn't get the assurances and it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, it makes it hard to negotiate when you're not getting those types of assurances, right? It's like, why are we having this conversation if Quinn Hughes isn't going to re-sign in Detroit? And we don't want to give you our best left-handed defenseman. Like,
yeah,
there's just a lot of things that are working against both teams, and it just makes it really hard to get a deal established.
And this last one from our good friend Zach Freeland says, it feels like almost every player on the team has taken a step forward since the beginning of the 2-week road trip. Who do you guys think has improved the most in this time frame? For me, it's Andrew Copp.
Copp probably is the correct answer. I think if you look deeper, you think guys like Soderblom, John Gibson maybe is maybe rivals Copp actually when you think about it.
Axe, like Sandin-Pellikka
has been excellent. Yeah, I think those are probably the guys you're looking at.
Which is huge because those are all guys who are like
starting goalie, a centerman.
top four
defensemen.
The guys where if you're going to be winning games, you need them to be doing it.
Yeah.
So.
I think there's a good shout out to Soderblom as well for all the things we discussed earlier. Like, I think he's starting to get it. Well, it's always TBD with him, but I've liked his game of recent.
Yeah. All right. We are going to wrap this episode up, take our holiday break. We will be gone for Christmas, but back on the 28th. We're going to be recording in the morning. You'll get the episode sometime in the afternoon. It'll be featuring Max Bultman of the Athletic Detroit. Thank you all so very much. We wish you a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. No matter what, we hope you stay safe and warm and happy and celebrate with friends and loved ones and hopefully watch some more good Red Wings wins in the meantime. Thank you to all of you who tune in. Thank you to the sponsors of the Winged Wheel podcast, Coffee Cult. Code WWP is live and you can use it as many times as you want.
They've kept me alive.
Oh God, do we owe them a lot. So check them out, coffeecult.com, code WWP. You can use it more than once as well. And to all of our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/wingedwheelpodcast if you want to support the show. And if you want to help us out, but Patreon's not for you, you can spread the holiday cheer just by wherever you're getting this podcast, subscribing, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, leave a rating, a review, the thumbs up, the stars, the heart, whatever it might be. Tell a friend about the show. That will be a Christmas present to us. And to all of our name level supporters on Patreon, we cannot thank you enough. Arjun Shankar, Aikfer, Martin Norberg, THL Champ, Samuel Soderholm, Icon, Glenn Brabham, Rain Dano, Below Average Ball Hockey Goalie, Sea Lion, Darb EQ, Matthew M. Rice, Bango Bango, Hassam Al-Qassem, Asher Killian, Kalen Wood, Alex Togard, That's What I Appreciates About You, Derek Enstam, Matt McKay, Andy Hardcore, Sam Bankson, Citizen High Five, R.A., Aaron Hudson, Admiral Matt S., The Cheesebag Navy, The El Cato, Stephen Ortlieb, Jonathan Miller, Give Blood Fight Probert, DJ Denton, Carl, Brutanen Nanuski, Jay Gollum, John Ingles, CB55, Connor Scovey, Adam Zawiza, Adam Rose, I Miss Pew Suter, Steve R., Hockeytown Matt, Mr. Kuzi, Chaotic Monkey, Craig Kibble, Eiserplan Stan, Podgy713, Clip Clop Nene, Unapologetic Gibson Truther, Griffin Knott from Grand Rapids, Marty, Kazi the OG13, Jeff Pridemore, Eric Hill, Butts Carlton, Best James Bond, Beer League Legend, Alec, Mark Hernandez, Slim Smitty Cards, Grand Rapids Girly, Anna Sleeman, William, Kip Tira Jr., Mike Asher, Chris Black, August, Brian Munn, Improved But Flawed, Chris 99 Jones, Putting on the Moritz, Trevor Centerfit, Adams, Red Wings Takes, Adam Ernie Slander, General Andy Bohan of the Cheesebag Army, Quaz, Dylan Larkin Trade Sacrifice, ladies and gentlemen, Moritz Seider, Matt Keeler, Linda Hall, Connor Leighton, As Good As It Jingles, Jeremiah Dobo, Josh Yelton, Brad Simmons, Darren Fick, Bex, The Hodag, Pastor Jake, the I Read Corinthians for the Plot, Commander Ben Barron, the Cheesebag Space Force, Sandin-Pellikka's Pet Pelican, Griffey Boy, JM Rhapsody, Frank Stanley, Rosie Posey, that other guy, Pucking Puck, Carl Thames, Nerno, The Hat 123, Stephen A. Aaron, Corey Prida, All Motor No Hands, Gene Sullivan, Chisholm. Nope, not reading that. Something Cider, something My Aho. James Pridemore, Upernadian, Drop the Puck, Eric Nance, Ann Stanislavski, Jim, Bellingham Acid Balls, Wings fan in St. Louis, Scott, Lucas Raitmond, Cops, Gump Lip, Trent Thorough, Grepsky, Evan Beckner, Return of Jambo, C.E. Hayes, Finny to the Rafters, Jacob Marsh, Falkness, Fight Night at the Joe, Axel Sandy Pelican, The Octopi's Ninth Leg, Finny the Pooh, Kurt Chin, new name level supporter, and your second favorite patron. Thank you all so very much. We will see you on the other side of the holiday break.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to visit wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you'll find links to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find ways to support the show, like Patreon, official podcast merchandise, and more. And don't forget to follow us on X at Winged Wheel Pod, at Ryan Hanna, WWP, at Brad Crisco, and at Hockeytown Evan, as well as Winged Wheel Podcast on Instagram.